Welcome to the Love Life Podcast, hosted by Jack and Sheila Harper. This podcast is about love and passion for life. Save One was founded by Jack and Sheila in the year 2000 to help men, women, and families recover after abortion. The Harpers have a real passion to see lives be healthy and flourish so that those lives have a lasting impact on the earth. Join us for the next few minutes as we talk about the subjects that impact our lives and how we can together find and keep better spiritual, emotional, and mental health by loving life. Here's Jack and Sheila. Welcome, Love Life listeners.
Yes.
You guys are in for a treat today. We say that every time.
I know.
The reason we do this is so that we have the ability to let you guys know, our listeners, some of the people that we have encountered.
Incredible people,
yes. And today it's not going to short that at all. We have a friend, a ministry partner, an entrepreneur, a guy that is just incredible. We have Rob Mitterando. So welcome, Rob.
Welcome, Rob.
Hey, y'all. How you doing today?
Good. We're so glad to have you.
Yeah.
Was it a little over 2 years, 2 years ago when we met? I don't think it was last year, was it? It was like 2 years ago.
It was,
And do you remember?
it was 2 years ago at March for Life, I believe, was the first
Yeah.
time that we had connected
What?
previously via email and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it was at the Stand for Life conference. So,
Yes. And do
Yep.
you remember we were at the Capitol Hill Club, like
Mhm.
an exclusive club for Republicans or something? It was like had all the Republicans on the walls, and
yeah.
we were there. And I remember you came down the stairs with your hand out and you said, "Hey, you're Jack and Sheila Harper." We were like, "Yeah." And so it was great to meet you. You had already connected with Chris and Sonia Wiley, and they had just spoken so highly of you. So we were so excited to get to meet
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I met Chris March 1st, 3 years ago in Dallas at the first pro-life men's conference.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that was
right.
when we met Chris. That was the year that we opened the coffee company, and we just hit it off right away. We knew that the Lord was connecting us for some purpose. So
Yeah,
Yeah, very,
for sure.
very cool. So we have been keeping up with your adventures ever since we met you. I think when we met you, you guys were still in New York and in the process of this big time journey. So
Yeah,
tell us what happened up there in New York.
like how you got to Tennessee,
You
and
get to Tennessee. What was the path?
because that was a huge adventure.
yeah, and kind of we're still in that adventure. So we for some time, my wife and I have been really feeling like God was calling us to the Franklin, Tennessee area, which was really not an easy transition because we were very deeply involved in ministry in New York, key leaders in the church, and leaving, as much as we were excited about the prospect of an adventure, didn't always quite make sense. So about 2 years ago, we really felt that it was time to move into that next phase of life. So we sold our house and moved into our camper, which we've now been living in for almost 2 years.
That's so great.
Yeah, we made
With
a
your
cross-country
two
road
children.
trip.
Yeah,
What's that?
with your two children.
With
I
our
mean,
two children.
Yeah.
We went coast to coast. We took a little bit of a hiatus and saw at least the southern half of the country, drove all the way out to California. And then we landed in Franklin in June of 2023. So we're coming up on our second year, completing our second year of living in Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So cool.
That is incredible.
Mhm.
I love it.
We're only about, I think, an hour or so from Hendersonville, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not very far from us. I remember coming down there and having dinner with you guys as soon as you landed in Franklin.
That's right. We went out to Buckets.
Yep, that's right.
So you guys have lived a lot of life. I mean, even before this big adventure that you've been on, you were in the military, and then
Veteran.
an entrepreneur, starting the coffee company. So just kind of give us a little roadmap of what the big adventures have been for your life.
Yeah. I am one of those people that's lived a lot of life, so much so that things that were a big part of my life a decade or 2 decades ago feel like I don't even relate to them anymore. It's
Yeah.
like
Wow.
watching a movie that
Totally different person.
I was just watching. Yeah. So out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps, and I was in the Marine Corps for about 7.5 years. During that time, I did a couple of combat deployments. Um, got out of the Marine Corps and then continued to do private security work overseas. So I lived in Afghanistan for almost 2 years. So
Wow.
that was kind of chapter one. And chapter two was moving back to New York at the time that I met my wife, Coco, and settling down and starting a family there. And we lived in New York for about 12 years, which was in my hometown. That was unexpected. And during that time, I worked mainly in construction. I had my own construction company. And from there, I transitioned into manufacturing and doing some project management for a large manufacturing company where I met the other half of North Arrow Coffee Company, DJ, who's a co-founder and 50/50 partner in this. And that was kind of around the time that I guess we'd say chapter 3 started kicking off, which was a lot of change, getting out of construction and then getting out of the manufacturing world as well and moving into coffee. We have we could talk more about this, but we have a ministry vision for the marketplace. Even though this is a for-profit company, we want to run it like a real kingdom initiative. And even the move to Franklin, it's all part of this, this later chapter that we're in.
Chapter 3 that you're living in. Well, that's one of the reasons why we love North Arrow is because you have such a heart for life, for the life issue. You give 15% of your proceeds to pro-life organizations, which I love. And we'll hear more about that in just a minute. But I want our listeners to know that you have an education that is extremely impressive. So not only have you started businesses, you're an accomplished entrepreneur and veteran. You have this incredible education. You're a graduate of Liberty University and a graduate of Oral Roberts University, holding 2 degrees, one in theology and one in Christian ministry. And so you know what you're talking about. You're not just like street smart, you're also book smart.
Yeah. It's interesting.
And that's right. That's right.
Don't always combine in one package.
What was that, Jack?
I said those two don't always combine to one package. The street smarts and the book smarts together.
That's right.
Sidebar, in the church, I think we see sometimes the pendulum kind of swings too far to one direction, and it's all books and theology on one side of that, and then it's all feelings and stuff on the other side of that. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people, even like myself, who have kind of really gone into academia, but are also seeing that we need more than just a degree to be effective as a church.
For sure.
Yep.
Well, tell us what started all of this, because you could have, knowing that the education that you have, the background that you have, the heart for business and the marketplace and life that you have, what you could have chosen any vehicle to be the catalyst to be able to give to life organizations and to make money for your family. But why did you choose coffee? North Arrow Coffee Company. Why did you choose coffee?
Coffee, DJ and I, we met in my previous job. And he's an executive and I'm a, mid-level management. But being in a office in New York, there's not a tremendous amount of conservatives in the office or Christians in the office. So and veterans, I think we're the only 2 veterans of the office staff of like almost 200. So we just naturally gravitated towards each other. And at that point in my life, I was delving into specialty coffee. So this is like 2019. And I had just discovered that coffee can be good and that it could be good without having to put a whole bunch of stuff in it. And even though, and the office that we were at had great coffee culture. Like we had espresso machines on every floor. There's pour overs at people's desks. So it was just a part of what we were doing. And one day I'm doing a French press at my desk, which isn't my favorite way to do coffee anymore. I kind of call it the gateway, right? Like, and DJ pops out of his office and he's like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, I'm making coffee. Do you want some? And he's like, yeah. So I pour him a mug of coffee, and we go in and start talking. And that was kind of between that, both of us being military veterans and our shared values. That was just the beginning of a really, really deep friendship. And within a month, we knew that the Lord was connecting us together, but we didn't know what for. But we knew it was more than just to be buddies. So as things progressed over the years, I am a serial entrepreneur. I'll launch 15 businesses in my head any given week.
Yeah, I believe
they never make it out of my head, but this is just, it's crazy in there. And
I have
DJ
inventions all the time. I think of inventions, and then he ruins them all with logic.
Because the inventions have to work, right?
Right.
It's better now.
So DJ kind of became a sounding board, and just a little bit more context on me is I didn't grow up very affluent at all. Lived in a 1-bedroom cottage with my mom throughout most. We had a space heater that heated the whole building.
Wow.
So I don't like to say I grew up poor because I never felt like I was poor, but we grew up with a lot less than what's typical in our culture. And my framework, I've never had a framework for wealth or to even really have any type of financial comfort. And I've always, but yet I keep going towards businesses and how can I make money in business? And I'd start bringing all these ideas to DJ, and he just kind of became a sounding board. And he's brilliant when it comes to business. He used to be an executive for Fortune 500 companies. So he's just well-versed and somebody that you could really lean on. So over the years, we just talked through a lot of ideas and nothing really stuck. And sometimes we kind of say oh yeah, this looks like it. Let's go for it. And then the conversation would go cold. And then one day in 2021, we were having a phone conversation, and we were talking about another coffee company that's well known that we just, as conservatives and as veterans, we don't feel that they're a great brand, that they poorly represent the veteran community. And I just tongue in cheek said, hey, why don't we start a coffee company that is values driven? We'll market it as a veteran owned company, but our values are Jesus and the gospel. And let's see where that goes. And he was like, yeah, I love it. 3 days later, I was in my morning devotions, and I just really felt like God deposited the abortion issue. It's something I hadn't really thought about or talked about for some time. Outside of regular conversations with friends, wasn't anything that I was meditating on. Mm-hmm. And I just felt this heaviness around it. So I wrote our mission statement and I sent it over to DJ, and I said, hey man, I really want to do this company with you. I think this is a great idea. Coffee's been a focal point of our friendship. Faith is a focal point of our friendship. We've had some conversation about what does it mean to be a veteran and a Christian and living in the midst of this Holocaust. Right. And I think this is for us. I think this is what we should do. And he was just like, yep, I'm all in. And where do we start? And that was it. So it wasn't like it's interesting. We didn't have the passion for pro-life and then say, what can we do about pro-life? Mm-hmm. We actually had a passion for business.
And for coffee.
I had a passion for coffee. And then once we realized this is what we're going to step into, it was just really clear that we were going to try to make an impact.
I love that. We have a passion for coffee too.
Yes.
And we love North Arrow coffee. And I'm not just saying that either. That's some good stuff right there. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Well, tell the story about.
Well, are you talking about North Dakota?
Yeah.
We did a trip out west last year, okay? And we may have told you this, I can't remember, but I want our listeners to hear this. We did a trip out west, and we were stopping and seeing friends, and we just made this big loop, and we came back through North Dakota, and we have some friends who are Chi Alpha missionaries up there. And we said, hey, can we stop and see you guys? Because they were about to have a baby, and we wanted to take them a baby gift. And so we go over there, and he's like, I'm going to make you guys some coffee. And so we were like, yes, we love coffee.
He's got us.
And he's got this whole coffee outfitted. And so he goes, I only save this coffee for special occasions. And he pulls out a big bag of North Arrow coffee. And we're like, we're like Buddy the Elf, like, on winning this.
Yeah.
We were like, we know him. He's our friend. And so we both went overboard about you. And they were both just blown away. Like, the owners of North Arrow Coffee. It was so great to be in North Dakota and like, there you were. And only for special occasions. Like, that was like their special coffee.
Yeah.
So I loved that. Yeah, I loved it.
So it's super encouraging because, you go into this and our company's tiny. Like, we're not even a blip on the radar yet, but I feel like in the last year, we're starting to experience like national recognition where, especially now that we have the coffee trailer down in Franklin, with our logo on the side, and we've had people from out of state say, hey, I recognize this. So that's super encouraging because our goal is we don't want to be a small micro roaster coffee company. We really want to go to bat with the big boys. We want to be a household name like Starbucks. We want to have a presence like Dutch Brothers. That's the goal and the dream for the company. So seeing that we're getting that national recognition right now, early on, and we're still at this foundational level, it's really encouraging to us.
Well, I know you've got a question to ask, but I wanted to tell you, we were in Franklin just the other day, and I am so glad that you put on your Instagram where you're going to be, where your truck, you had just moved the truck. It usually stays in a stationary place. Is that right? But occasionally you'll move it. And
now it stays put. Yeah, we're locked in.
Well, I was so glad because we were like, we could go get some of Rob's coffee because we were in Franklin. And so I looked right on your Instagram and we were like, he's right there. Let's go. Yeah. I mean, you were like 10 minutes from where we were.
And you were working at the trailer.
And I was working.
So the whole gang came over, Anyway, I know. I loved it.
Yeah. So what's next on the big adventures? What do you guys got on tap? What's going on next with the Mitterandos and then with North Arrow? What's your next step?
Yeah. Well, the Mitterandos, we feel like we've been in a holding pattern, coming into one of the most expensive counties in the country, most expensive in the state. And we're not coming in with California money where we were able to just immediately buy a house. And we're coming in with no jobs and really no cash flow. So we've been living off of savings for about 2 years. And by savings, I mean equity from our house sale. And we know that this year is the year that things, they will turn the corner simply because we just have to at this point. So what's next for us this year is I expect that we're going to be done with RV life, at least in a full-time capacity. That's for certain. I'm hoping by the end of Q1.
That's
more
correct.
Realistically, hopefully sometime before summer. Otherwise I got to replace the air conditioner on the RV. With that, for North Arrow, where we just had our third birthday on Tuesday. And I believe this is the year that we are going to kind of put our big boy pants on, if you will. So we're currently working on funding and bringing in operating capital so that we can start to expand the business. One thing that we haven't done is any type of paid advertising. We've done very little marketing outside of just pure organic, me hitting the socials, and even social management, something that we haven't done well. But we've grown a really strong brand without doing those things. We really feel it's time now to get aggressive with that. So this year, in Q1 this year, we're expecting to hire more staff. We're expecting to have 2 full-time employees by the end of February, as well as several part-timers working in the cafe. Bring on a marketing agency to start doing all of our social management and start advertising. And our hope is that in 2025 that we 3 to 5x our revenue, expand our national presence, and who knows, maybe this year find our location for our brick and mortar store or launch our second trailer in another community.
That's so great.
That-
I love it, love it, love it. And I feel like you have opened yourself for blessing because
Yeah.
you care for life.
Mhm.
And I love that you guys are unabashedly pro-life.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't try to hide it. You're not, trying to masquerade and then, you throw life out there. You put it right out there. We give part of our proceeds, 15% of our proceeds to pro-life organizations. And so that I feel like God smiles on that.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt you're going to be blessed.
Yep.
He gave us the vision for it. So it's not always easy, but when he speaks, we just do our best to obey.
That's right.
We don't, there's a lot of influence into the business from our faith. We're not just a pro-life company. We want to go so much deeper than donating. And that's why we're so forward with our messaging is we also want to be advocates.
Mm-hmm.
Our hope is that what we're doing inspires other people who have businesses or are starting businesses, to get aggressive with living out their faith in their marketplace. I found this hat the other day. I'm not sure how well it shows in the video, but it says
What
on
does it
earth as it is in heaven.
Oh, I
And
love it.
and that's what the kingdom has been about, right? I mean, if we look early in the Gospels, and Jesus said the kingdom of God is at hand. So
Yeah.
with the coming of Christ means the coming of God's kingdom, and with the coming of the church, that's supposed to continue. And this should be our vocation as disciples of Christ, is to bring heaven down to earth.
Yeah.
So even down to the donation model, there's a reason a lot of people, when you're thinking donation, 10 is just a number that people go with, and that could be inspired by some Old Testament stuff. But we wanted to do something aggressive that would grab people's attention. We wanted to do something sacrificial because that's what Jesus did. Is he did something truly sacrificial for us. And we just see the kingdom value of radical generosity for the benefit of others, right?
Oh,
So
that's good.
it's so much more than just being a social justice type initiative. We're really trying to build out a wide kingdom model that touches all different areas. And our true hope is that, yes, we impact the fight for life because we know that God hates abortion, but also that we inspire others to get out of Sunday Christianity, which I would challenge is not Christianity at all if it's limited to Sunday, and start having an
good.
influence in their communities to bring heaven down to earth.
Yeah.
That's really what we want to see. So
That's really good.
And you know what? We should have influence in every sphere.
Yeah.
In the
yes,
That's one of the things I love about it.
The influence of the Lord in it. I don't even know if I want to.
Well, and I know, right? But one of the things that I love too is that so many times people will have a secular job and they're just working so hard to get into full-time ministry instead of thinking their secular job can be their ministry. It could be their mission field. You're making a difference in the marketplace through a secular, through coffee, but you're standing for life. You're preaching the gospel. You're wearing it on your clothes, for heaven's sake. I mean, like you're right there in the marketplace making a difference. And I love that. And I wish more people had that mindset. And instead of thinking, no, I'm going to take the light out of the world and put it over here in full-time ministry. Maybe God has you right there to make a difference in that mission field.
Absolutely.
And maybe he uses something like coffee, to open the doors.
it could be anything: home services, construction. I think that we're not trying to build a carbon copy model. We just want to inspire people to get creative in their thinking as to what does it mean to be a disciple in the marketplace. So if I own a construction company, how does my faith influence how I do business, how I interact with others, what I put on my branding, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
I love it.
I know. I love it too. And we want to have you and Coco back on and talk about all the businesses and all the things. And, so maybe later in the year, you and Coco come on together and tell us and catch us up on everything. Because I know people are going to love this episode. But you guys know, as the listeners, at the end of every episode, we give a love life tip of the day. And Rob's is such a guy, love life tip. His love
I don't even know what
tip.
I put.
You said, read your Bible and pray.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm
It's
like,
great today.
that's so profound. It's simple. We used to have a pastor, he's passed away now, that was in our life, that he would say, just read your Bible and do it. And that's what that reminded me of. Just read your Bible and pray. If we would just get back to that basic, our life would be so much better. Read our Bible and pray. And I love that.
That has been, we could talk about academia and experience and all that stuff, but the most influential thing that I've done throughout my life is get serious about scripture. It was actually, for me, it was starting my undergrad that kind of forced me to do that and build in that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But once I opened that book and diligently started reading it, everything changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's no going back. So.
Yep.
Well, there's no greater way to help people love life on a greater level, which is the whole reason we started this podcast, was just so people could meet these incredible, outstanding citizens and helping them love life on a greater level. So I hope you guys are smiling and loving life and going to northarrow.cafe.
Yeah.
Mark that down, northarrow.cafe. You can also find them on Instagram and ordering your coffee right now, because you're not going to be sad about it. You're welcome.
We'll get a, I don't think I have a public code set up for y'all yet, but we'll just create a discount code for Love Life. That'll be the discount code. So if you head over to the website, use code Love Life, you'll get 10% off your order at checkout. And then any orders associated with that code, the donation from those sales will go directly to Save One, in addition to what we already donate to them. So it's a great way to support your favorite ministry.
Yes.
Use that code.
See,
thank you.
The benefits of listening to this podcast. See, you're gonna be so happy.
Yeah.
So if whatever platform you're listening on, will you take a minute and write a review, share, tell your friends about this podcast, because we want them to get the coffee too, but we certainly would appreciate it. So be watching for our next episode, helping you love life on a greater level. Thanks so much, Rob, for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being a part of our audience today on the Love Life podcast. Please share it with your friends and check back often for the next podcast, or subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.